16. That's really all I got on that. I don't know. And I'm gonna let my friend David here do the shout outs today.
Sure.
Couple too, yeah.
So my shout out is really straightforward, but we've been at this table since January of last year, and we have seen over and over our colleagues, our students, and our community come out time and time again to listen, be informed, and engaged. Last week, we had 184 unique viewers on the Zoom to watch live, the most we've ever had. And I and the rest of the ITA, we are profoundly grateful to be part of a deeply engaged community.
Thank you. My shout out for a couple of folks. One, to your team, your leadership team, thank you for your ongoing commitment and engagement in this process. And to the folks who are in the room and all the folks who have been coming out and supporting this process. It has been prolonged because it's complex and we're trying to do some unprecedented things. So that's the reason for it. And for folks to stay committed to being here for so long on an expired contract is remarkable. So thank you for that. Another shout out, I have several people that we've invited to be here today, but I wish to shout out a special guest. As many of you know, board president Sean Bradwell, a former ITA member, a person who's volunteered to be a board president and board member for 16 plus years. He comes from a family of union leaders, particularly his dad, who I have had the pleasure of meeting, Larry Bradwell, who worked for 39 years as a union officer in the Schenectady area. And he's one of the best people, wisest men I've ever met. And then his mother, Sean's mother, spent 38 years working as a proud union member and as a leader in the union. And I know Sean, he speaks much more eloquently than I do, but I've also heard him say this, so I'm gonna try my best to quote him. Folks like him, folks like myself, frankly, first-gen college students, young men of color who frankly have had to navigate predominantly white universities and spaces all their lives and the dangers that comes along with that. You don't survive it and you definitely don't thrive in it unless talent is overrated and even hard work doesn't allow for that to happen. We actually stand on the shoulders of giants. And when I was growing up, I would talk about giants all the time, and the only one I could ever point to was my mama. She's a giant. And for the folks in the room who've not seen a giant in person, tonight you get a chance to see one, because Debbie Bradwell over there, a special guest and a long-time union supporter, is a giant whose shoulders Sean and I have stood on to be here. And Debbie, your son is a manifestation of your wildest dreams. Now, that's something I wish I could have said to my mama before she passed. So I'm going to say it out loud in a space like this. For him to have done what he's done and to survive it and to thrive in it is a manifestation of your wildest dreams. And I want to say thank you. And thank you for being here in this process that you participated in for 39 years. And I'm just a baby in it. So I appreciate you for showing up. Thank you. Those are my shout outs.
I know it's a breach of protocol, but yeah, let's.
Yeah.
No, yes.
Just some acknowledgements of some of the folks in the room who have some special jobs tonight. So we have a number of transcriptionists tonight. Aurora is starting and then has to leave to go to curriculum night, may come back. We've got Gina and Mary helping out. We've got Gretchen is gonna jump on at some point. What? She'll jump on remotely. So we've got a number of transcriptionists, but since one of our transcriptionists is remote, microphones are really, really helpful to a remote transcriptionist. And then we have Riley and Jen. Riley and Jen, if you can just raise your hands as our note runners. So if you have notes to run down, please give them to Riley and Jen, who will bring them up to David. And if you have not signed in and acknowledged the rules of the room with our friend Jake over there, please make sure you do that. And Jake has some copies of the documents that we have. So if you want to, quietly head on over there. He doesn't have enough for everybody, but he has some. Riley's right down here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and so our agenda, first thing is you've brought us a counter proposal and we wanted to kind of give the same protocol of going through and
Sure.
read things, and we'll ask questions as we go and those kinds of things, and
All right. We have much to navigate through, y'all. So we hope to have some documents linked in certain spaces so folks can see them if they're viewing from online or up top.
hold on a second.
Can I edit access? I'll link to all the documents and I don't have.
We're going to try to link the doc.
I don't have a computer in front of me.
Okay.
One of my team who has edit access on the agenda for today, can you please give Zach edit access so that he can link these documents into the agenda so that our folks can see it?
All right,
Thank
so hopefully folks can follow along. We have some slides. We will do our best to talk through some things. Tonight was intended for us to come back with a counter proposal, and we recognize we didn't get it to you until about 5 minutes ago because it's taken a while to get to what we're proposing to you all. Again, if I can step back, thank you for the work you did over the summer and this fall to put together a proposal that included some concessions, that included some things that were getting us closer to an agreement. So I appreciate and recognize that. And I hope you can recognize what you hear tonight is some significant movement on our ends as well. And I will also underscore what we're both attempting to do is unprecedented in the school district. And I'll come back to this at the end. We're attempting to do something unprecedented and something that will significantly change this thing we call a compensation approach for our educators, particularly our teachers in our school district. So I want to make sure I say that first, and we'll come back to that in a second. And I also, and again, thank you folks for their patience in this process. To do something like this, we're trying to correct and shift a multi-decade old issue. And yes, we've been at this since January, and there's been a lot said and a lot done, including what we've done this summer as far as analyzing documents, looking at various teacher contracts from across the region, particularly our neighbors. And I hope that what we propose tonight is you are here, that we've listened and we're responding to what you've asked for. And like any other good negotiation, no one ever gets exactly what they want. And I hope you hear tonight, this is really good. And it's probably as good as our school district and community can do at this moment. And I hope you understand what I mean by that. So what we hope to do is go through our district proposals, which are new, and sort of a counter proposal that includes our proposals. And then we will get into our responses to the proposals you put on the table at our last session. So they'll be in 2 phases here. And I'll be pointing to members of our team to lead certain aspects. And then please know what we're putting in front of you tonight comes from many conversations amongst my team, your team, and also our Board of Education. Now, our president of the board is here. Our Vice President, Garrick Blaylock, is here, who's also the chair of our Finance Committee. Todd Fox is here as well. We have other board members who may show up. And while this entire process has been unprecedented and unorthodox, to have the superintendent talk to the board as much as we've done through this process, I hope folks recognize it is unique, but there are multiple perspectives and experiences that comes to the table. And I thank y'all. Proposal number 1 from the district. And again, we looked at, you used the word neighboring. You know how I think 26 times over the negotiation sessions, neighboring districts, and how we were losing folks to neighboring districts, how we wanted to be competitive and comparable to neighboring districts. We want to be in the top tier, particularly when we think about comparing ourselves to neighboring districts. And what we're proposing this evening, we think puts us in the top tier as far as competitiveness, as far as our compensation, and as far as the flexibility that the contract provides for both parties when we look at our neighboring districts and probably even when we look at anyone in central and upstate New York. The first proposal is something that we frankly lifted from a neighboring district that was used in a neighboring district to, frankly, I hate to use the word poach, but to incentivize folks leaving our school district to go work someplace else. The superintendent having the discretion to place someone onto the step-in lane system at any time and at any point has harmed us because we haven't had that ability to do so. And when an educator, as I've heard at even most recent board meetings, who are deeply committed to staying in our school district, and when seeking to have some way to have some additional compensation or even to be incentivized to come here, we have had very little flexibility to do some things to make that happen. And they've left us or have not come. This first proposal is, the language is literally, if I can't see it on my, I'm in a worse spot probably to be
We're gonna share
a
it to the Zoom
presenter.
real quick.
I know what, I just want to make sure y'all looking at the thing I'm talking about, because I feel like I'm on a Zoom call right now. All right, here we go. As long as y'all are giving me the thumbs up and nodding and haven't stopped me. The language is simply lifted from a neighboring district's contract and how we wish for the superintendent, and this will be much beyond even my tenure, the superintendent with board approval can make that kind of an adjustment. Proposal number 2.
Wait, can we ask questions?
Yeah, I forgot.
We
That's,
go through the whole thing?
it would be nice, but stop. Yeah, I don't know what the working agreement say, but yeah.
Well,
ask
so
it.
so the protocol is either side could opt to ask clarifying questions before voicing receptivity.
Go for it.
Totally up to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so just because like, this is just absolutely first draft thinking.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
Really getting it for the first time.
Cool,
But
got you.
these are the things that are immediately coming to my mind. Would this replace the current language that we have around the number of years of service and like the step that people would be coming in on based on their prior experience that we already have?
I would like to keep both. I think both and gives us maximum flexibility, because I'm also seeing this as a rarity and not something that's going to be used very often.
Okay, and then my second is, can you give an example of some of the, like, as you've talked about this, what were some of the conditions that you brainstormed might be reasons to invoke this?
Hard to fill area. Science teacher at our high school,
Sure.
or a tenured teacher in a neighboring district who we all know who we really want to be here. And I want to be able to incentivize them coming.
How would this impact other members in the same field,
Or in the same tenure?
in the same
area?
tenure area?
Hey, technically they can all petition to have their compensation adjusted as well. Read the language, any member at any time,
Oh, I underlined.
So.
pending board approval.
So would we then be, just a thing to think about, would you be willing to consider like codifying some kind of petitioning process?
Of course. Great questions.
First draft.
Yeah.
Just maybe just a moment in case there are any.
We have lots of
Any
people who might
questions?
want us to.
I know, and you will have a caucus and we're going to come back and answer.
Yeah,
caucus.
right.
Again, this is first draft thinking.
Yep.
And we anticipate you having a lot of questions.
Yep.
About it.
Um,
Number 2.
okay.
Hold on one second.
We're gonna. So yeah, and just to my colleagues in the audience, yes, I want to gather your questions, but we are going to do a first draft and we will have a caucus and be able to come back again. Right, so if we don't quite get to them in this first round, please know, you know, everything's being under consideration.
Okay, we're
Okay.
gonna move on to number 2.
Got them, we'll discuss. Thank you.
Ready to go to number 2?
Yeah.
We have a graph here, a bar graph. As we analyze the neighboring district contracts, and if we wish to be comparable and competitive with the neighboring districts, the first thing we wish to look at, and later we'll look at compensation, is the length of the school day. And I'm going to use a term that I heard used here maybe 15 different times, time to work at work.
Yep.
And I am proposing that we put forth a proposal and a contract that gets us very much comparable to the rest of the region. And as you see this bar graph right now, with both time to work at work and student contact time, we are significantly below anyone else in our neighboring district. So the proposal would be to add, I think the total number, and I don't know how it's worded in the proposal because I'm not looking, 120 minutes to the time to work at work per week, which puts us close to the mid-range, I believe, when we compare ourselves to others. And what we were thinking initially, and I would love to hear your thoughts, maybe after the caucus, we were thinking that we move to a 60 minutes after student dismissal, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 60 minutes. Wednesdays, principal-led time. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays would be some folks may refer to it as PLC time. I'm moving away from that term, but teacher-led time. Many of our educators, as you know,
We called it professional responsibility.
Oh, I love that
time
term.
In the previous tentative agreement.
PRT. That PRT time, yes, it's teacher-led time. Many of our educators are in school are staying already that late. But anyway, I see us, and that does impact the Wednesday time, the length of time that we have on Wednesdays as well. It will be a briefer amount of time for many of our buildings. Instead of, I think, 90 minutes, it'll be 60 minutes on Wednesday. So it's, as I'm thinking about childcare and people planning, this is something that if we are to have a tentative agreement and an approval and ratification by the board in the coming weeks, we can talk about when we start to implement this as well. Again, we recognize it may take some time to make a shift of this type, but we're looking for more time to work at work, and it looks like about 120 minutes. And yes,
On 180? Monday, Tuesday, Thursday?
hold up, we may have,
Well, Wednesday is already 60, but 3 times 60,
what
180.
did I say it wrong?
Yeah, it's what the proposal says. So
Yeah.
it'd be 60 minutes each of those days.
Yeah.
On the alternating Thursdays, you're losing 30 minutes. So
Right.
some loss, but
This is rather fresh in how I'm trying to articulate it, so I appreciate folks' grace
Gotcha.
and patience here.
So I'm seeing teachers remain on site. And I'm thinking, my first thought is how my personal working schedule has between 4 and 6 o'clock Monday through Thursday are the busiest times for union meetings because it's when teachers are available, which is the on-site is I'm just like, what dispensations would we be making for off-site meetings? Like, how would people, like, can we still hold union meetings in those 60 minutes after school every day? Or are we asking our any after school meeting having to start at then
Oh.
5 o'clock instead of 4?
I'm seeing Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays as opportunities to do that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because it does say on site and those are often, and 12 buildings, you can't be on site in 12
the
buildings.
district is the site.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're using the district as the site.
Yes,
Okay,
the professional responsibility time.
I mean, there will be opportunities, obviously, when we do tentative agreements. For those that maybe new to this, the teams will sit down and we will hammer out the details, right? But the tentative agreements sort of guide us in all the little details have to be worked out. So even though I have like 3 or 4 questions from your single question, it doesn't need to be happening here. We can work out those details. Yeah.
Any other
Maybe it came up,
clarifying?
the other one that came up is how would this impact things like clubs, student activities, those things that we're running right now? Is that,
We'll
think
get to some of those in,
okay, so,
with the next proposal, and yeah.
okay, excellent. Sorry.
proposal three.
All right, the next one, again, this is something we've heard from community members, PTA, we've heard at this table too. More time with young people. We want to, and we know this may take some time, and we know we need to talk to other bargaining units, and we plan to talk to other bargaining units. We wish to start here. We wish to reserve the right to extend the elementary day by 30 minutes and the secondary day by 15. And we know we have much planning to do that, whether that's the fall of 26 or the fall of 27. We will do it, and we will do it correctly and in the best way to meet the needs of our families and staff. That's as simply as I can put it right now. And I know there are a ton of questions. That's what the planning time would be. But I hope folks can recognize, to be comparable to the region, to be comparable to our neighbors, we need to have more time with young people. And it helps with other things like lunch and recess. It helps with our instructional minutes that are state mandated, things that become issues with us. This takes care of a lot of that.
Right, we also, any of us who sat in the regionalization meeting
Yeah.
the other night and heard that one of the barriers to regionalization is being on a different schedule than other schools.
We couldn't do it unless we had
Yeah.
some more time.
I don't think we have any, that's a very straightforward proposal, not a lot of clarifying questions.
Yes, yes. All right, we are down to number 4, and I'm going to try to keep this simple because this is something that we can talk about a lot. As part of our approach to paying for some of the things we're offering today, some things that would help make our organization much more efficient, we need to be better in our human resources processes. Things like direct deposit, digital pay stubs, telemedicine enrollment, digital timekeep. There's some things that we are hoping to include in this agreement that help our HR department. Is that what did I leave out anything you would add here right now?
I think that covers.
That covers it
But I
all.
can answer the question, but
Are you thinking digital timesheet? Is that what the digital timekeeping is, or are you thinking punch in, punch out?
oh,
Oh,
no,
no.
not punching.
Okay.
No, I'm not doing that. No, we were trying to figure out some digital, like, instead of the yellow forms, like online systems.
We want to be a organization that is surviving in 2025. Like
Move away from
a
the
good one.
triplicate.
I think we want to get to like 2018 in
18.
this.
Yeah. Let's not-
So we hope you agree, and you would agree to that proposal, and we will start working on it immediately. Number 5, professional and compliance expectations. With the additional time to work at work, we wish to embed in the contract language that asks educators to do this on their time, as opposed to it being done during a staff meeting time or some other professional development time, as we've been doing most recently.
Would those proposed Monday, Tuesday, Thursday hour
Yes.
be okay for that then?
Yes.
Okay. That was the,
All right, number 6. And this is what I think everybody came for. All right, this is the main event. This represents the most significant financial investment into teacher salaries that I've been able to find in the history of our school district, hands down. And this investment into salaries and the philosophical approach to how we do this. Yes, it does include a step and lane provision. I think puts us at the top tier of competitiveness with regards to other school districts in our region and our neighbors. And that commitment is 7% in year 1, 7% in year 2, and 6% in the 3rd year. And if we can get to a chart here, because we did an analysis of the average teacher salaries of our neighbors. What you're looking at now, if as of 2025, right now with no increase, our average teacher salary, the ways in which we are calculating, we have Forecast 5, we have independent auditors. This number we're confident in. And yes, anyone can put a number here, but we're confident in the multiple ways in which we've come to this number. As of today, it's $67,329. And you'll see that's in the mid-range of our neighbors. We want to be in the top tier. So if we go to the second screen, if this agreement is ratified by our board with the 7% increase at $72,000, it puts us in the top tier immediately at 7%. And if you go to the next slide in year 2, and I'm trying not to speak to the specific name of a local district, but in order for them to keep up, they would have to offer salaries of 7% and 6% over the next couple of years, which I had an attorney say to me and some board members just the other day that no one's even giving 4 right now. But we were planning to give those, and you'll see how our average teacher salary goes up. And at the end of this agreement, we're at around $81,000 an average salary, which puts us significantly above folks who are our neighbors and keeps us in the top tier of competitiveness. And as you asked, and we've talked a lot about step and lane, and I still think not many people in our community understand exactly what step and lane is. We can do an education on what it is. We're open to that approach to salaries or salary structure. And I think we have it written here. And let me go back to that slide. Again, as I asked at the last session, we really do need to talk about an algorithm that can be replicated and spoke to by anyone, particularly our folks in HR. And what we would want to see in that step and lane system immediately, as we looked at that average teacher salary, and what would happen immediately is that no one in the organization will get less than a 5% increase in year 1, 2, or 3.
And just to clarify, because this is a Brian Goodman question,
Yeah.
that's immediately, or is that once it's built?
Say that again.
The no less than 5%, would that be immediately, like in the transition time?
Yes, immediately.
Okay.
And
Well, I think we'd have to figure out those details because
But that's
If-
the intent?
the intent is that there's a floor of 5% in that structure.
and no ceiling, because we are
Right.
not concerned about the ceiling, but we don't want anyone getting less than 5%.
Okay, I was like, do you want, as our step and lane designer, do you want to come down with any questions you have?
And
Okay.
Brian, I think the lowest percentage from my recollection, was around 4.6% in the one that you shared with us, correct?
It changes for the years, but by our fourth year, we had gotten everybody on.
Yeah, but no one was getting less than about 4.6% in any of those years. And that doesn't matter. That's a conversation between us, I guess, but
Sure.
we want the floor to be 5.
So would this also, then because we're doing it over 3, would that be in line with a 3-year agreement?
3-year agreement.
Okay.
And we will spend time, for folks who are listening in the community and others, we're going to spend time through the budget development process and through future board meetings talking about, we could spend another hour or two talking about the finances and how we're able to get here. What I will say is that this is coming because of a significant amount of fiscal planning over the last 12 months. This is coming after we've now received our audit report. This is coming as we are shifting our philosophical approach to finances. We're being much more aggressive. Previously, I said we were being conservative. This time last year, we were facing federal cuts. We were facing uncertainties with regards to state aid. We did not know what our audit was going to look like. We now have some stability that we didn't have back last spring, which allows, from my perspective, and we will share with the community.
If we're waiting to be picked up, you can wait in queue for your or in front of the welcome center. No student should be inside the building or the quad after 4:30. If you are taking a late bus, please have your bus tag completely filled out with the address on it. Thank you.
We're at 3 years, not 4, 5, or 6, because we will be putting forth to our board and the community a fiscal plan to strategically use our reserves, to find efficiencies, and do the things we all, it's been since, I look in my notes, it's been since 2004 when I was in a situation as a central office administrator where we actually had budget initiatives to figure out how we were going to spend new money. Every year since I've been doing this, we've been talking about how do we find efficiencies each year. Some years it's been $8 million, some years it's been 1 or 2. So we are accustomed, unfortunately, to doing that efficiency work, and that will continue. So this work to be done, we will put a plan in front of our board. We're comfortable we can do a plan and plan for something over the next 3 years. Year 4 gets fuzzy, and I am hesitant to go to our community and say, I don't know how we'll pay for year 4. I can't show how we can pay for 3 of these years. And hopefully we will be back together at the table in 2 to talk about how we do another agreement that will plan for how we expand on what we're doing already. Questions about Step and Lane and this unprecedented commitment to teacher salaries in our school district?
No, I think we're good. If Brian's good, I'm good.
It's a good deal, y'all. I think those are the ones I'm going to lead. Then we're going to get into responding to some of your proposals. And I think some of the initial proposals that I've talked about today sort of take care of some of these too. But maybe Bob, you walk us through these and I'll help.
Yeah, Zach and I
Okay,
can
cool.
tag
Sure.
team this.
Yeah.
I think for the tentative agreements, I didn't re-review the tentative agreements between last session and this session, but what we had at the table seems fine. We just have to make sure the language captures what we intended and can be implemented without any difficulties. So that work will be done. Your proposal 2 is what we just went over in terms
Yeah.
of salary and
It would probably be helpful for the people who are in the room for me to help kind of tag team, like, what do these actually mean?
sure.
here.
Yeah, go for it.
So and I guess this is my check for understanding. So I'm seeing on Article 16C1, this is parental leave for birth-giving parents, that we're saying yes to A, which is an increase of using up to 60 accumulated sick days for pregnancy-related disability leave within the 12 weeks immediately following the birth of a child, and that the sick days will only be applied to absences taken for days school is in session, and that a tentative yes on access to the sick bank without restriction for 1 calendar year after the birth of their child, but only for qualifying medical conditions of the child. And I have 2 questions. How are we defining qualifying medical conditions? And then would you be open to or qualifying medical conditions of the parent, because
They-
sometimes.
Yeah, well, they would qualify anyway, right,
Yeah, I know.
under sick bank. Wouldn't they?
But,
I mean,
but
yeah,
usually
the
you don't
answer
do
is
sick
yes.
bank without restriction on like a day here or a day there. We usually do it more for extended situations, so,
We've done a little of both.
yeah, a little bit of both.
But-
I'm.
So
making
yeah,
sure that-
we'd be open to that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think that's actually the key though, right?
Yeah.
In the extended portion of this, we are not supportive, I guess I'm gonna have to say it that way, of like a day here, a day there. If the child has a significant medical condition that requires doctor visits,
Okay.
not just, I wake up in the morning, my child has a fever, I need to be home with them for the day. That's not something that this is gonna capture.
Okay.
Right?
I understand. So you're saying like, can't go to daycare because you've got a fever, doesn't qualify for a sick bank day, but need to go to the doctor for a medical
Right.
thing
there's a
does qualify.
documented ongoing
Documented.
medical issue that requires continual visits, that
Okay.
type of thing.
Okay, and this, I mean, we've had a number of questions in a number of different places about, when we do reach an agreement, will it be retro, but specifically, and I'm like, I almost think I know who asked this question, who's currently home with their newborn, on, would this be retro so that people who are currently on
Yeah, we do a
parental
retro.
leave could qualify?
We're doing it, Jim.
Okay. And, what about well child visits? Would those count as ongoing medical needs of your child?
Yes.
Yes? Okay,
Yes.
okay,
I don't know. I got a 2-year-old at home, so I'm,
right,
Okay.
and maybe, yeah, I'm biased here.
yeah. Yep, okay,
2.5.
okay. Then 16C2, parental leave for non-birth giving parents. We're getting a yes on all of it. So a teacher who's a non-childbearing parent may use up to 30 accumulated sick days following the birth of a child, adoption of a child, or non-emergency placement of a foster child as parental leave for the purpose of family bonding. Sick days will only be applied to absences taken for days schools is in session. These days do not need to be used consecutively. They must be used within 1 calendar year of the qualifying event. And if it will require 10 or more consecutive days of leave, that you would apply for it as a leave. And we're a yes on all of that. And then 16C3, you are open to further discussion. And my question is, what are you thinking it requires further discussion? So that we know to discuss. Oh, I'm sorry, it's family leave. So a teacher who is required to care for a family member who is experiencing any FMLA qualifying event may use up to 30 accumulated sick days for family leave. Then it lists what that includes. And a teacher may use family leave only once per academic year. Otherwise, other extended leaves need to be applied for.
I think we're leaning on the law. The law is pretty clear with this one, right?
Well, I think definition, some of the things we'll have to figure out, a definition of family. We're proposing the definition used in the FMLA Act itself.
Yeah, we're saying that if it's any FMLA qualifying event or circumstance.
Right, so the question is, you could have an FMLA qualifying event, but then in relation, and then FMLA has definitions on relational,
Mhm.
who it is. So just, we're leaning on that structure as how you enter into accessing it.
Our intent is to also lean on that structure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no one's trying to write a contract that supersedes the law.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And you're open. Perfect. I think.
I got nothing more.
Okay. So we can move on to our proposal 4. So I'm hearing a no on expanded coverage on health insurance. So is that a no on, I'm seeing a no on 23-2, which is domestic partners, a yes on 23C, which is to keep supplemental health insurance.
Yeah, and the yes would be that both plans, supplemental and advantage, would be offered to the retiree at the time of retirement. They could choose to the less expensive plan, less expensive for them, less expensive for the district. That's fine. or they could choose the more expensive plan. That's fine as well. The choice would be made at the time of retirement. Once made, though, for obviously planning purpose and actuarial purposes, it wouldn't be.
So
there'd be
permanent
no-
choice once you
Yeah, the
make it?
permanent choice, yep.
You anticipated all of my questions. Okay. Proposal 5 is the 2% cost of living adjustment to all of the extra rates for extracurriculars and all of the various things that we do. And we're seeing a yes on that. Would that be 2% annually?
Yes.
Okay.
Just as you proposed it.
Great. Proposal 6 is a no, that is timesheets for hiring committees. I could say it in many more words, but I'm hearing a no on timesheets for hiring committees. I am also hearing a no on inclusion, fail to fill, the flying solo scenario of letting your sub go to another class and doing a co-taught class by yourself. And then I'm hearing a yes on increasing the club advisor rate to bring us closer to, and actually to exceed minimum wage, which it doesn't currently do. That's great. Hold on. Proposal 9, protections against AI outsourcing. I am seeing a yes on paragraph 1. That is the language that we collaboratively wrote that acknowledges that technology has a place in the classroom, but that generative AI and other technological developments will only be used to supplement, support, and enhance teaching and learning. But a no on paragraph 2, which is the paragraph that brings in the New York State bill language that would codify that teachers cannot be replaced by automated decision-making tools.
And I would be proposing that we put together a committee immediately that works on a policy or suggestions or recommendations to the board for a policy and or inclusion of a second paragraph here. Other organizations I'm affiliated with have committees and task force that are working on that language. And as you know, the language is being worked on at the state level and at the federal level. And
Yeah.
every one of those groups has had a committee or a task force that's been put together to work on language. So we
Yeah.
want a second paragraph. We just want to take our time putting it together.
Would the board be part of that committee? Do they have to make that committee? Do they have to make the task force? Can we?
As you can see, our board is involved with everything around here.
Okay.
So-
I don't know where.
That's a good thing.
originate
That wasn't
Yeah.
a snipe, Dr. J.
No shade.
But yeah, I'm just saying, I can dig it.
Okay,
An advisory council, yes, we have that already embedded in policy language.
okay. Proposal 10. Wait, I don't see what it says. Oh, I see what it says now. I'm reading this all for the first time. So we put forward a proposal to offer enrollment to the children of teachers unlimited, and you are countering to cap it at 50 teachers.
A clarifying point. We actually are clarifying, or we want to offer it to 50 teachers. So one of the things we know is the challenge with siblings. So so we would each
50
teach-
teachers, not 50 students.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And yes, you can bring as many children as you have in a family. We do not want to split families here. That's a significant shift, y'all.
That's huge. As
But
the
it's not
person
unlimited.
who
The unlimited language is not something that's going to apply, but a significant increase to the cap is cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we want a tentative agreement in another hour.
Well,
Okay.
with a team this big to talk about everything that we're being asked to digest right now, I'm not sure an hour is realistic, but
15.
tonight. Okay, and then proposal 11, librarian schedule, I'm hearing a no. I'm hearing a no on all parts of it.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any other questions or any other things that we need to address before we caucus?
Let's see. There's a lot of stuff.
And one last statement then, again, I hope folks see, we spend a significant amount of time looking at contracts around central and upstate New York, and a particular focus on our neighboring districts. And we have pulled the best of those contracts forward into our proposal. And while some of this may be super new, some of this is going to be a change in philosophy, I hope you recognize that we are also recognizing a change in philosophy. Step lane is a big one.
Yeah.
7% is significant. We will have the best compensated educators in central New York if we are able to agree on this. And we can come back to the table in another 3 or 4 years as we work with Mr. Fox, our finance chair, Dr. Blaylock, our 16-year community treasurer, Sean Everly Bradwell, who have worked a lot with their experiences to pull together what we're putting in front of you right now. We have managed our budget well. When I inherited this role, we were a school district in fiscal stress. We were in the top 2%, the bottom 2% of school districts in New York State when it came to our finances. We had no fund balance in reserves. We've worked for 15 years to get us to a place where our bond rating is triple A plus. We can borrow at a competitive rate. We have reserves that allow for us to endure a pandemic, and during my time, 2 stock market crashes. So we have reserves for a reason, and we're planning to use them strategically based on what we learned from our audit report last week to invest in ITA compensation packages. And we recognize the need to retain and recruit, and that's why I was very specific by leading with that effort to allow for the superintendent, whoever's sitting in this seat, to not be in a board meeting and have a public comment and a teacher say, I left to go somewhere else because the superintendent was able to give me $5,000 more. If you give a superintendent the ability to say to an educator who actually taught their own children, I can make sure you stay here, that is a win. And we have step and lane, and you can plan. So I hope we have a tentative agreement so we can all move forward onto the next thing, which will be the budget process, where we explain to our community how we plan to pay for this and keep this as budget neutral and not go over the tax cap.
Well, you know that democratic decision-making is a major part of the way we do everything, and you can see my democratic body here is eager to start our conversation. So we're going to take a caucus. I imagine it's going to be a while. Yeah, we'll let you know.
It's 4:45 right now. Let's plan for a check-in at 6 o'clock to see where we stand. But I think any sooner than that is
Unrealistic.